Only the third best team in Italy this year stands between Manchester City and immortality. Only Internazionale, the great team, the prestigious team from Milan, can stop Manchester City winning a treble. We are relying on the spirit of Dennis Bergkamp, Clarence Seedorf, Zanetti, Aaron Winter, Lothar Matthäus and Edgar Davids to stop Manchester City winning a treble. City were immaculate again. There was a time where Manchester United today simply could not get near them. And today, Manchester City won a double. They won a double. And I think, and I know that I've started this video lauding it about the treble and immediately talking about the treble, but I feel like I've just conformed to something that I find quite frustrating. When we immediately talk about the treble, what we are doing is we aren't giving the gravity and the oxygen and the prestige to what Manchester City have achieved today. They have won a double. For the second time since Abu Dhabi took over Manchester City, they have won a double. In fact, it's only the second time in their history that they've done it. They didn't do it pre-Abu Dhabi. So only the second time in their history they have won a double. And when you win a double, we must acknowledge it for the great, incredible and brilliant achievement that it is. When I was a kid, I was constantly being taunted by Arsenal fans singing about Sol Campbell winning the double. Tottenham fans constantly telling me that they were the first ever team to win the double. And Manchester City today won a double. So, of course, context is key. Of course, we are going to talk about the treble because of Manchester United and whatever else. But what we must do today is acknowledge the brilliance of Pep Guardiola. Not, however, the way that he decided to dress going into a cup final. The man wore a hoodie to a cup final. What a paraffin. I was disgusted at that. Surely put on a suit. Pep, you're a stylish man. Wear a whistle for Wembley, surely. But apart from that, Guardiola, I'm full of admiration. The way that your team play, this is the best team ever assembled. And Manchester City now are establishing a sort of dictatorship over domestic and European football. What they are doing is just simply incredible. And Manchester United today will well be. I feel like overall they'll be hurt, but they'll be fairly happy. You know, they finished third and they won a trophy. And when you think about how last season ended, they would have gladly taken this. You know, off the back of Ralf Rangnick, Ten Hag coming in, losing to Brighton, losing to Brentford. Top four and silverware, I feel like they have to take this as a decent enough season. And the opportunity that they had to actually make it a great season was passed up from them. They had the opportunity to protect not only their own treble, but also their season. And they failed on that. It was the last roll of the dice from England, effectively, from an English team to stop this Manchester City team. You know, Chelsea tried in the FA Cup. Arsenal tried, in fact, in the FA Cup, didn't they? The whole of the Premier League tried. We couldn't do it, and it is now over to Milan. Manchester United today, they were well and truly beaten. I think Ten Hag got it a little bit wrong. Garnacho should have started. David De Gea, when are people going to wake up to him? I called him overrated on the Saturday Social on Sky, and I got well and truly torn apart. He is simply not good enough, and he was responsible for the defeat today. How he has conceded from that range, a little P-roller going in, was simply unacceptable. But Manchester United weren't good enough. They were so chaotic, and they conceded within 13 seconds. I mean, needless to say, that is obviously a record for an FA Cup final. But Manchester United as a whole, they spent so much of the game just on the back foot, so much of the game chasing City. And I wonder if the indignity of having the record, 13 seconds in, it's obviously going to be a record. You're obviously going to break Louis Saha's record against Chelsea, that was. So thank you for that. But I wonder if that was on their mind. I don't think Alex Ferguson was back to his seat. Ferguson carried the FA Cup onto the pitch. I don't think he was back to his seat before Gundogan had struck. Such shoddy defending, and you've given yourself such an uphill battle. I think United, to their credit, the game didn't go the way that it did against Watford, did it? What am I saying? How Manchester United have fallen. It didn't go the way that it did against Watford. When Man City played Watford at Wembley, what would that be, 4 years ago? Finished 6-0, didn't it? Kevin De Bruyne, I think, got man of the match. He only played a half. So it didn't go that way. And, Manchester United, they kept fighting, but ultimately they were second best. They got level. They were fairly fortunate with a handball decision given against Jack Grealish when he wasn't looking. Maybe it's correct to penalise somebody for not looking. If your arm's flailing in the box and you're not even facing the ball, maybe that's a fair enough reason to give a penalty, but it did also feel very harsh. They got back into the game though, United. Cool penalty from Bruno Fernandes, but they only lasted equals for about 20 minutes. They were very fortunate to get the penalty and then they made it count for only about 20 minutes. There were moments for Manchester United, especially towards the end. But basically, Garnacho came on. He gave them a little bit of purchase in the game, but they were just not good enough. They were lacking any sort of impetus, any sort of attacking threat for so long, and they felt like the underdog throughout the game. They were totally outplayed for large portions of the game, and ultimately they were simply not good enough. And I think this is the biggest thing that we can say about the game. I don't really think Manchester City got in their groove. I don't think Manchester City played as well as they would have liked. Erling Haaland, he didn't have the goal-scoring impact that one might expect of him. There was a chance in the first half where he sort of got a toe to it, and if he could have been the fraction of a second quicker or the fraction of a millimetre taller, I think he would have got a little bit more purchase on the ball and steered it home. But that didn't go his way. I thought De Bruyne, he was the first player substituted. Don't get me wrong, he was amazing, particularly when the game was 1-1. I thought De Bruyne shone. But he was the first one substituted. But the day actually belonged to the sparkling Ilkay Gundogan. I mean, the volley that he scored with his right foot and then the P-roller with his left foot. And I think that's what makes City so good. Haaland, a little bit off colour. Grealish, perhaps not as involved as maybe some would think. De Bruyne, brilliant at times, but by his own standards, he didn't dictate the tempo of the game. But there's always another option. There's always somebody else to take the baton on. And today it was Ilkay Gundogan. Manchester City simply have to give him that contract. They've offered him a year. He wants 2, give him 3. That would be my approach. He is a mesmerising footballer, a truly brilliant professional, a bargain for what City paid for him. And I think that he actually deserves to be mentioned at the very top table. The very top table. He is one of the best footballers in the world. He's in the conversation for the Ballon d'Or, no doubt about it. Think about his contribution this season, scoring massive goals at the end of last season, winning the league for City. The goal that he scored against Everton on the turn. And it's about time that people gave him the respect that he deserved. Next week in Istanbul, the last part of the treble awaits, and City can definitely play a lot better than they play today. So Internazionale really are going to have to be on their A game. The question though, can Manchester United, can they play any better? I mean, there were some poor performances at the end of today's game. It's been a draining season for United, but Christian Eriksen, he's just not good enough to play in games like this. I know Manchester United fans love him. Obviously, my good friend Adam McCullough is a big fan of Christian Eriksen, but I just don't see it. 6-7 years ago, I remember going to Wembley and he put in a gorgeous cross for Dele Alli to score in a 4-2 defeat for Tottenham at Wembley. But he's not that player anymore. Jadon Sancho, totally all over the place. I mean, Erik ten Hag at one point today put Wout Weghorst on. I think that demonstrates the teams, doesn't it? I mean, if one team has Wout Weghorst in it and the other team has Erling Haaland in it, something massive has got to happen for the team with Wout Weghorst to win the game. And it wasn't to be. But with David De Gea so slow to react, particularly to that second, what chance do Manchester United have? Overall, it's all about the treble, isn't it? But I think we have to acknowledge that Manchester City have won a double. A truly incredible performance, a truly incredible milestone. And the day belongs to Ilkay Gundogan. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Will you please do me a massive, massive favour? Please click subscribe if you're new around here. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful night.